Om. 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet. Jai Gurudev. So we were on the 17th or 16th verse. Let's go there. Krishna is non-doer. Know yourself to be a non-doer. Having the knowledge does not preclude action. Inaction never leads to liberation. Purvaiv purvataram kritam. Then all understanding ends up in Atma. Another description of a wise person. That is where we are. So let's go there. Yeah, so kim karma kima karmeti kavayopyatra mohitaha tatte karma pravakshyami yad jnatva mokshase shubhat. This is what we saw yesterday. Even the seers, scholars are confused with reference to what is action and what is actionlessness. I shall tell you about action, knowing which you will be released from what is inauspicious. So, in order to, for the liberation, for moksha, you require to know both karma and what akarma is, what atma and anatma. You need to know both. In order to know Atma, you need to know what Anatma is. So all understanding ends up in Atma. We shall see that the understanding of karma itself is the understanding of Atma and Anatma. In fact, the thorough understanding of any topic will always end up in Atma only. If you take any one thing, Shanti, Sukha, Dukkha, Jagat, a name or form, even as much as a piece of cloth, just take that. You go on analyzing and go on studying that. Ultimately, what will happen is you end up with Atma, mind and its nature and so on, and analyze it. It will resolve into Atma. This is why we can begin anywhere. Everything is connected. Nothing is unconnected. If you remove the doubts with reference to karma, you will remove samsara for good. You are released from the doubts themselves, and this release is the gain of moksha. When ignorance, the knot of the heart, is resolved, all doubts fall apart. All the karmas standing in one's account are destroyed when that Brahman, the Paramatma, that is Ishvara and Jiva, is understood. And this happens in one stroke. In one stroke should not be misunderstood to imply action. This all happens in terms of knowledge alone, the stroke of knowledge. In the next verse, Krishna explains further why this karma and akarma have to be known. Karmano hyapi bodhavyam, bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha, akarmanascha bodhavyam, gahana karmano gatihi. Karmanaha of actions, api also, bodhavyam is to be known. Vikarmanaha of the forbidden action, cha and bodhavyam is to be known. Akarmanaha of actionlessness, cha and bodhavyam is to be known. He, because karmanaha of karma, gatihi nature, gahana is difficult to understand. So, karmanaha api bodhavyam, vikarmanaha cha bodhavyam, akarmanaha cha bodhavyam, hi karmanaha gatihi gahana. Action enjoined by the scriptures is also to be known. Forbidden action and actionlessness must also be known. This is because the nature of karma is difficult to understand. Here Krishna first divides karma. Let me just... Here Krishna first divides karma, meaning action in general, into two types. Action that is to be done, karma, and action that is not to be done, vikarma. What is to be done must of course be known, and what is not to be done must also be known. Furthermore, if you think that actionlessness, akarma, is not doing karma, then akarma also has to be known. You must know what is meant by not doing karma. Is it the non-performance of action, or is it the absence of doership? This you have to know. If akarma is the absence of doership, then the non-performance of a given action does not amount to akarma, as Krishna himself would clarify later. Why is all this analysis needed? Why should we know about karma, vikarma, and akarma? Because one should not take karma in a simplistic way, nor is it easy to understand. People sometimes tell me, Swamiji, I have heard enough about karma. I want jnana. If karma were known by these people, they would have the knowledge jnana too. Karma has to be known, but it is difficult to know gahana. The simple do's and don'ts are not what is to be known. What must be known is the very nature of karma itself. So one level of understanding is just knowing what is to be done, what is not to be done. But what is actually to be known about karma is the very nature of karma itself. And that is what is said is very deep, gahana. It's difficult to understand. Gahana means that the subject matter of karma and akarma is shrouded in confusion. Because you do not see it clearly, you need to clear away the mist. And to do this, you have to bring in light. Karma is not as simple as you think. If you understand the nature of karma, you will understand reality, Brahman, everything being connected as it is. To say that karma is to be known is to say that everything else connected with it has to be known also. Thus, Krishna introduces the subject matter of karma and akarma in this verse and the preceding one. The answer to the question, what is karma and what is akarma, is given in the next verse, along with some words in praise of the person who understands action and actionlessness clearly. So the next verse is a very interesting one, but let me just repeat this one more time before we go to the next verse. So what is this? Karmano hyapi bodhavyam, bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha, akarmanascha bodhavyam, gahana karmano gatihi. Action enjoined by the scriptures is also to be known. Forbidden action and actionlessness must also be known. This is because the nature of karma is difficult to understand. Here, Krishna first divides karma, meaning action in general, into two types. Action that is to be done, karma, and action that is not to be done, vikarma. What is to be done must, of course, be known, and what is not to be done must also be known. Furthermore, if you think that actionlessness, akarma, is not doing karma, then akarma also has to be known. You must know what is meant by not doing karma. Is it the non performance of action, or is it the absence of doership? This you have to know. If akarma is the absence of doership, then the non performance of a given action does not amount to akarma, as Krishna himself would clarify later. Why is all this analysis needed? Because one should not take karma in a simplistic way, nor is it easy to understand. People sometimes tell me, Swamiji, I have heard enough about karma. I want jnana. If karma were known by these people, they would have the knowledge, jnana too. Karma has to be known, but it is difficult to know. Gahana. The simple do's and don'ts are not what is to be known. What must be known is the very nature of karma itself. Gahana means that the subject matter of karma and akarma is shrouded in confusion. But you do not see it clearly. Because you do not see it clearly, you need to clear away the mist. And to do this, you have to bring in light. Karma is not as simple as you think. If you understand the nature of karma, you will understand reality, Brahman, everything being connected as it is. To say that karma is to be known is to say that everything else connected with it has to be known also. Thus, Krishna introduces the subject matter of karma and akarma in this verse and the preceding one. The answer to the question, what is karma and what is akarma, is given in the next verse, along with some words in praise of the person who understands action and actionlessness clearly. So let's pause here before we go to the next verse. Let's share our understanding. So what Krishna is saying is, as it is as important to know and understand what karma is, what vikarma is, and what akarma is. Bodhavyam, that you should know. It is not simple do's and don'ts. That is not what is meant here. It is about knowledge of karma. Why is it important to know? Because it is shrouded in confusion. Just take, for example, the question of prarabdha and free will, that any karma has embedded in. We cannot tease out and say which is prarabdha and which is free will. We've had endless discussions on this. That we are all attending this session every day. Is it prarabdha or is it free will? Are we all waking up and coming up on time for the class? Is that free will or is that prarabdha? So it's a big question mark. We don't know when prarabdha starts and when free will begins. So this whole karma is shrouded in confusion. Akarma, is it just not doing action or is it non-doership? Vikarma, of course, is forbidden action. Actions that should not be done. And what are they? That seems to be easier to understand. All the adharmic actions will come under the forbidden actions. But that again is simple do's and don'ts. So if you understand karma, then it is you would have understood reality. So that is why wherever you start, you will end up in Atma. Whether you start with Shanti, Sukha, Dukkha, be it a piece of a thing, something in the samsara, anything, you begin there and you go on analyzing, you'll end up in Atma. It is that isness that you will end up with. And that isness is what? That Satya, that Sat Chit Ananda. So that Sat aspect is what you will end up with.
That's why Krishna whole second chapter, kept only about the Atma.
Mm. So anybody wants to share?
Karma's gahana karmano gati, and you cannot know the karma, how it has rise up or came, then how we can understand the means creation or whatever it said, no? Okay.
Mm.
So we cannot know the reality. But next what?
That is why it needs to be understood. See, now when one question and that doubt remains is what? When did the first prarabdha start? Can you really put your finger on that? We say this janma is because of prarabdha. You take some amount of your sanchita karma, and that thing becomes your prarabdha karma, and you're born with that. But when you go back in time, can you say, and is there an answer to the question, when did the first prarabdha start? How in the creation, when Brahman, with his own aspect called Maya, created the universe using these three gunas and all the Pancha Mahabhutas, Panchikarana happened. So for that first Karana Sharira, which is the cause of the Stula and Sukshma Shariras, where did that first karma start? How did it start? Is there a question? Is there an answer to that question? No.
It is a study of unknown to know that it is really unknown.
Because see, where is it all coming from? It's coming from Maya, which is what? It is. It seems as though it is, but it is not. That's the funny part of Maya. We think all this is so real, but in fact, it is not. It is just like that illusion. Just like that illusion on the road, like the mirage. So that understanding, when it becomes clear, without any doubts, crystal clear, then that sword of knowledge, that stroke of knowledge, would liberate one. So therefore, it's everything again. See, it boils down to jnana. Even knowledge of karma. Oh, I've had enough of karma, Swamiji. I want to know jnana. That then there also understanding karma is required. And if you know karma, you would have had jnana. It's pretty intriguing, no? It's like,
So after the study of karma, vikarma, akarma,
mm,
what will exactly happen? Means that everything will produce some result, but the result we don't know. Karma, akarma, vikarma.
correct. That is true. We do not know. Can you know how, if you set up to do, remember that thing? If you do, when you set
Some
out to
some
do
karma's
something,
result we know, like that the finger in the that heat or something fire we put,
mm,
that we knows, but some karmas we don't know, like that.
yeah. So this is not just about the result of action. It is about action itself. It is what is karma. Karma here does not necessarily mean the result of an action. It is what is action, what is inaction. That is what the question is. Is inaction not just simply doing anything? Is actionlessness a karma, or is it non doership? When it comes to non doership, you can still be doing all the action in the world, but you will still not be doing any action. Why? Because there is that sense of non doership. Just like the Jnani or the Jivan Mukta, he is completely in the witness consciousness where he is he is not the one. Pashyan, Shrinvan, Sprishan, Jigran, Ashnan, Gachan, Swapan, Swashan. All these are happening. He's just a mute witness to that. So when you do something, the result can be exactly as what you expect it to be. Like when you put your finger in fire, it burns. It can be completely opposite of what you expect to happen. It can be a mixture of these two. China gives a very beautiful example, and he talks about this at length. If you remember that example of a person who wants to eat a samosa, he has to cross the road and go to the other side. How many things can happen? First thing is he can just directly go. First result is he crosses the road, goes and gets a samosa, eats it. Second, completely diametrically opposite. Forget about samosa. While crossing the road, he might encounter an accident. He might end up in a hospital. And the third is a mixture of these two. So he might go cross over to the other side, to the place where the samosa are being sold, but They may have finished the last samosa. So he's left with his wish unfulfilled. I mean, this, I don't think China mentioned this last thing, but then, so with our limited knowledge, we do not know what the result of karma is. And we do not also know how karma goes on, why we act. And that is why Arjuna had so many questions. Like all of us have so many questions about karma. That is shrouded in confusion. So let's go further and see what is karma. Karmanyah karmayah pashet akarmani cha karmayah sabuddhiman manusyeshu sayuktah kritsna karma krita. Very beautiful, very important verse also. Verse 18, chapter 4. Karmanyah karmayah paschet akarmani cha karmayah sabuddhiman manusyeshu sayuktah kritsna karma krita. Yaha, the one who, karmani, in action, akarma, actionlessness, paschet, would see, cha, and yaha, the one who, akarmani, in actionlessness, karma, action, paschet, would see, saha, that person, manushyeshu, among human beings, buddhiman, wise, saha, that person, yuktaha, is a yogi, kritsna karma krita, who has done everything that is to be done. So, yaha karmani akarma paschet cha yaha akarmani karma paschet saha manushyeshu buddhiman saha yuktaha kritsna karma krita. The one who sees actionlessness in action and action in actionlessness is wise among human beings. That person is a yogi who has done everything that is to be done. Shankara writes an extensive commentary, Bhashya, on this verse, setting out the various arguments that are relevant to this important topic. In order to gain a clear understanding of karma and akarma, we will look into this particular Bhashya in some detail. It was said that even the informed are deluded with reference to the nature of action and inaction. Karma here means action in general and is not restricted to scripturally enjoined rituals as it is elsewhere in the Gita. Because even the learned are confused, Krishna says he would reveal to Arjuna the nature of karma, which implies akarma also, knowing which he would be liberated from doubt, from samsara, ashubhat, mokshase. What is to be done and what is not to be done are both considered to be karma, action. Killing, for example, and helping someone are two different actions. Killing is a prohibited action, nishiddha karma, and helping another person is an enjoined karma, enjoined action, vihita karma. A command, vidhi, is always with reference to an action, either to do it or not to do it. Because one may hurt another, the Shruti enjoins us not to hurt anyone. May one not drink alcohol and may one not eat meat are also scriptural injunctions or don'ts with reference to the actions one performs. Similarly, there are a number of commands concerning the do's. the actions that are to be done. Thus, there is a list of do's and don'ts for people to follow, all of which are karma. Akarma is also to be understood in terms of karma. Is akarma simply not doing action, or is it something more? The very nature of action, its swarupa, is what we are trying to understand here. Only when action is properly understood can one understand what non-action or the absence of action is. People generally understand the absence of action as not doing action. If you do not do something, this non-performance of action is the absence of action. Just give me 1 minute. So we'll pick up this from where did we stop? People generally understand the absence of action as not doing action. If you do not do something, this non-performance is the absence of action. When a man who is walking stops walking, the action of walking has stopped. There is a standstill, no action. But standing still is also an action. Try standing still and you will understand how difficult an action it is. Similarly, sitting still is an action, which is why you cannot do it for very long. To think that you are going to gain inaction by sitting still is to be deluded. There is no such inaction, in fact. This you can extrapolate. Sleeping. Is sleeping an inaction? No. There's so much of activity happening in sleep. To think that not performing action is inaction is no different than thinking that printing more currency will resolve a country's tight money situation. Such a simplistic approach cannot solve the problem and will create additional problems because it is not that easy. As a child, I was thinking this is what I was actually thinking. If we require money, can we not just print more currency? So it is not that easy. Similarly, to understand inaction is not as easy as it seems. What Krishna says in this verse is in keeping with what he had said earlier in the second, third, and fourth chapters. Although the present verse is very cryptic, it can be understood by keeping in mind what has gone before. Let me know if you want me to repeat any of this, or maybe we can come back and repeat all of it once. Another description of a wise person. Here Krishna describes a person who could see inaction in action and action in inaction. What kind of a person is this? If he or she sees a man walking, does the person see him as standing still? And if he is standing still, does the person see him as walking? This is like watching someone eating and having the person tell you he or she is not eating at all. Usually, we would think that such a person was mentally deranged in some way. But here, Krishna says that one who sees action in inaction and inaction in action is a wise person, buddhiman. So, what is the example that comes to our mind? That story of Krishna and Durvasa, right? Where after having eaten the whole meal, Durvasa Muni says, I've not eaten even a morsel. That story of
And Krishna also, says gopis when they're carrying the food, tell
if
them,
I'm a Nitya Brahmachari,
yeah. Then they giggle at each other, they laugh, oh, this guy is not sorry, like that.
And what is the example for inaction in action? Sorry, action in inaction.
Yeah. See, you're standing, but then there is action happening. So much of action is happening. Standing itself is an action.
Okay.
Not
No,
only
in any of the story form we have.
and also, our inner organs and all are working, though we are not working, That China mentioned that.
Action and inaction. I think China gave the example of how even the simple action of wanting to lift your hand requires so many things. First, a thought has to come in your mind, which is an action in itself. And then those chemicals have to go pass through the nerves and come to the muscle. And then you lift your hand. So many processes are involved.
Also, Didi, in a situation when we can react or stay calm and don't say anything, that is also like we are not acting, but it is an action of staying silent, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. That is true. So here Krishna is saying what?
This is again this inaction is kind of action only, right? So I was wanting to know the inaction in the real meaning, non-doership.
Correct. That is what he's talking about now.
Yeah. So is there any example for that? inaction in the non-doership, action is happening.
Krishna is an example. No? He is giving all this. He's giving the Gita. He's talking. He's playing the flute.
Yeah,
Everything.
right.
But what is that? It is inaction. What he's doing, he's not doing anything. From the standpoint of Brahma, from the standpoint of Atma, he's not doing any action. But there's a lot of action happening. And that is all pratibhasika satya. It is all subjective reality, isn't it? Paramarthika satya, he is not doing anything. When Brahman is the only one, what is the action that can happen? Purna is full, and that is the only thing that is there. What action can happen there? So Atma is actionlessness. So from his standpoint, he's in that space. But then from our standpoint, there is action happening. We're seeing him doing this. He's doing it though. Same thing with Jivan Mukta, same thing with Jnanis. To exhaust their prarabdha that they're born with, they continue to act. They have no choice but to do it there. Because the prarabdha takes the whole thing forward. Then to top off the confusion, Krishna goes on to say that such a person is a kritsna karma krit, someone who has done everything that is to be done. This means that there is nothing more for this person to do. He or she is free, whereas for others, there remains a long list of to be dones and not to be dones. So as long as we are reeling in ignorance, we will have a long list of to do things and not to do things. But for one who understands and sees action in inaction and inaction in action, he has done everything that is to be done. Kritsna karma krit.
But in transactional world, we have to do many things. So the to be done list is so big. So in that case, how we have to see the karma
That is why,
as
that's the whole
non-doer.
karma yoga aspect, no?
Non-doer.
It's the whole karma yoga that Krishna has given Arjuna. Arjuna also has this doubt. He says, why are you asking me to do this karma when it is going to bind me more and more in samsara? But getting out of karma with the karma yoga attitude, while pursuing this knowledge. That is why he gave knowledge of the self first in the second chapter. In the first half of the second chapter is all about Atma Jnana. In the second half of the second chapter, he's given about Karma Yoga. So this list, as long as it exists,
Didi,
anyone?
I just, yeah, when we are hollow and empty and contented from inside, when we are in touch with the self and keep doing actions outside, that is also in action, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
true. As long as you're not touched
Yeah.
by the
Not touched by,
result,
yeah, on the
by the
outside
action
we
or
are doing. That happens when we are hollow and empty and fully
Mm,
contented. That's what
correct,
happens.
correct.
And when we are in gratitude also,
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah.
very right. So basically, when you're in the moment, you're living in the present. The moment you step into the past or future, you've lost it. You're taking on doership there. The more and more one is in the present, one is in the non-doership mode. Maya is getting into past or future. To stay with the paramarthika reality is to stay in the present. That's the whole crux of the art of living in the present. Gurudev started off with that, and he's, created so many avenues for people to come to that point. So this list, as long as it exists, is unending because the items to be done and not to be done are difficult to fulfill. What you ought to do is not always possible to do, nor can you always avoid doing or saying what is not to be done or said. Also, the to be dones and not to be dones go on increasing. With reference to the food one eats or personal ambitions, for example, there are a number of things to be done and not to be done. Like this, everyone has a long list, and even if some of the items are fulfilled, so many others pop up in their place. Some items on the list are very clear to you, while others may be vague. Still, they are there below the surface and will become clearer in time, like a Polaroid film. This then is the situation for everyone. Here, Krishna describes the person who has managed to fulfill all the items on the list as being one, able to see action in inaction and inaction in action. He praises such a person and refers to him or her as being wise, buddhiman. If seeing is all that one has to do to be wise, the seeing itself must be very difficult. The words themselves reveal the difficulty. How can I see action in inaction and action and inaction in action? So, inaction in action. The usual locative case meaning for the word in the expressions inaction, in action, and action in inaction does not apply here. So I repeat this. The usual locative case meaning for the word in the expressions inaction in action and action in inaction does not apply here. When we say, where is he sitting? The response, on the ground, denotes a location where the action of sitting is taking place. Similarly is the case with the statement, the book is in my hand. However, here Shankara dismisses any sense of location with reference to action and inaction, saying that action cannot become the location or the basis for inaction. Just give me a pause 1 second. Huh? We come back to this. So it is not, the location is not what is meant to be understood with this in, the preposition in. So, however, here Shankara dismisses any sense of location with reference to action and inaction, saying that action cannot become the location or the basis for inaction. Inaction being the absence of action, it is not there to be located upon action. I know this might seem a little confusing, but let's read forward further and then we'll come back for this. The second read. Inaction does not exist. We cannot say that a non-existent inaction sits upon action. Just as we cannot talk about the horns that sit on our heads. Horns do not exist for us, and what does not exist cannot be said to be sitting anywhere. Similarly, we cannot say that the son of a woman who never gave birth to a child, Vandhya Putra, is sitting on the ground because there is no such person. In the same way, inaction, being the absence of action, does not exist for it to have any location. Therefore, action cannot be the basis for inaction, nor can that which does not exist, that is inaction, be the basis for action. Therefore, the use of the locative case here is not to be taken in its usual sense. Rather, it means with reference to. With reference to action, this person is able to see inaction. And with reference to inaction, he or she can see action. So it is not to be taken as a location, as in the meaning is not the locative case, but it is with reference to. Because inaction does not exist. Just like how a barren woman's son does not exist. So with reference to action, one sees inaction. In the absence of action, karma abhava, the wise see action, and in the so-called action, they see no action at all. I repeat this one. In the absence of action, a karma abhava, the wise see action, and in the so-called action, they see no action at all. When you perform an action, there is the notion, I perform an action. Aham karomi. What is involved in this? I perform an action. What is this action that you are doing? When you say, I am talking or I am walking, the talking and the walking are actions centered on what? This then is the question. When you say, I walk, your legs and feet are involved in the action of walking. The mind is also involved, there having been a decision, a sankalpa, to perform the action of walking. Without a sankalpa, you do not perform a deliberate action. There is always a thought, a desire involved. So, in the action of walking, the mind is involved, the legs and feet are involved, and even the eyes are involved. And when you say, I perform an action, aham karomi, I, aham, is also involved. In this process, the mind, senses, and the physical body are all involved. The physical body is called karya in Sanskrit, meaning product, and the mind and senses are called karana, meaning instrument. This assemblage of karya and karana is involved in the action that belongs to me. That is why I say, I perform this action. The I is also implied in action. I meaning Atma. So the results, we have about 4 minutes. So let me know if we can stop here and just do Manana, or just go down to.
We say we are breathing. Actually, breath is happening. Everything is happening. So that's action, inaction.
And I think when we feel that it is inaction, the doership is not there.
That is the point, no, about actionlessness.
Then
So
nothing, become puppets that type,
So the results of action belong to the doer. We'll see this tomorrow. So karmanyah karmayah paschet akarmani cha karmayah sabuddhiman manushyeshu sayuktah kritsna karma krit. So Krishna has wrapped up the whole thing in this one verse. He says you need to know what the one who sees actionlessness in action and action in actionlessness is wise among human beings. That person is a yogi, one who has done everything that is to be done. So we can reflect upon this and just step back and be in that witness consciousness as we continue doing our daily chores. So when you're coming from that awareness and when you're living life with an attitude of karma yoga, then the result of action, when it is not affecting you, you are still in that witness space. It is like you're in the non-doer space. It does not affect you. So the results of the action affect only the doer, not the non-doer. So we'll take that up tomorrow. We'll read this one more time and then go forward. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Jai Gurudev.